Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, here with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss another class action lawsuit that was filed against Coinbase, this time alleging unfairness with regards to their arbitration clauses that are embedded in their terms and conditions. But before we dive in, please, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. With that said, let's jump right on in. Alright, so as we can see here, the Daily Hodl reports that a top crypto exchange, Coinbase, was hit with a class action lawsuit. They say top US-based crypto exchange platform Coinbase is being targeted in a class action lawsuit that alleges its arbitration policies are unenforceable. In a recent court filing, a plaintiff alleges that Coinbase's arbitration agreement within its terms of service is legally unconscionable because it heavily favors one side. Quote, under California law, a contract provision is unenforceable if it was, quote, unconscionable at the time it was made. The plaintiff does not consent that he agreed to be bound by the Coinbase user agreement in effect when he signed up for his user account, nor that it covers the dispute. Instead, he argues that the arbitration agreement is unconscionable because it lacks even a modicum of bilaterality. Under California law, substantive unconscionability relates to the fairness of an agreement's actual terms and assesses whether they are overly harsh or one-sided. The plaintiff, who seeks to represent a group of people who found themselves in a similar situation, originally wanted to arbitrate after a scammer stole $31,000 out of his Coinbase account but found Coinbase unresponsive and the terms unfair, according to the court filing. Court documents show that Coinbase moved to compel arbitration, but Judge William Alsup denied the motion, saying that, quote, the broader arbitration provision is unconscionable. Last month, Coinbase was hit with a different class action lawsuit alleging that they sold crypto assets as unregistered securities. And for those of you that are curious about that, we covered that case in another video. So you could check our video history and then find out more about that case if you're interested. Continuing on, they say that in that case, 3 individuals claim that since October of 2019, the crypto exchange platform has been selling digital assets without registering them with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The Securities Act of 1933 says that all securities or assets that can be traded between parties and in the open market must be registered with the SEC. The litigation, which is still pending, argues that virtual assets that Coinbase has been selling can be determined as securities using the Howey test, the standard methodology used to determine whether an asset is a security or not. All right, so the first point that I want to draw your attention to is this particular line right here where it states, the court documents show that Coinbase moved to compel arbitration, but Judge William Alsup denied the motion, saying that the broader arbitration provision is unconscionable. So what really happened is there was this original suit where this plaintiff tried to get some sort of, compensation from Coinbase after a scammer stole $31,000 out of his Coinbase account. And his basis for that suit was that there was unfairness and unresponsiveness in the terms of service. And the judge in that case ended up denying the defendant Coinbase's motion to compel arbitration on the basis that it was unconscionable. And so that pretty much opened up the door for the plaintiffs here, in this case, the arbitration case, to go and file a class action lawsuit against Coinbase and hopefully get themselves certified as a class. And it pretty much gave them the in. Because if here you have a judge saying that Coinbase's arbitration clause is unconscionable, I mean, any plaintiff's firm that specializes in any sort of large-scale class action litigation, they're going to chomp at the bit to try to get access to that. And the judge right here just kind of gave you, a broad in. But that's not to say that another judge that would handle the class action case would see it the same way as this judge, right? Because a lot of it's subjective. And it brings me to my next point. A lot of what these large companies do is they'll have arbitration clauses or provisions in their terms and service. I know at one point, it was one of the fast food joints, whether it was either McDonald's or Burger King, they had arbitration clauses on the actual drink cups and on the fries, right? And so if you try to sue these companies, these large corporations in civil court, if there's an arbitration clause and it's held to be valid and enforceable, then these cases would move into arbitration. And what that does is normally arbitration favors the big corporations more so than it would a plaintiff. Because when you have a plaintiff, more often than not, when you have a jury of your peers, so to speak, they would be more sympathetic to a plaintiff than they would otherwise be to a large corporation. The other thing that it does is that it keeps all of the dirty laundry out of the public domain. And so normally, unless a case is sealed, when it's in the court system, everything's public record, and arbitration can protect a corporation from any unwanted exposure and having their dirty laundry aired like they would otherwise have in a normal civil case that isn't under seal. So let's turn now to the order on the motion to compel, and as we see here, this is the name of the case that spawned this arbitration lawsuit, the class action. It was Abraham Bilski versus Coinbase, and it was filed in the Northern District of California. Now, California in general is traditionally a more progressive and liberal court. They were very progressive with things like tort law and tort reform and that whole area of law. So if we look here, the introduction, it says, in this action, accusing defendant cryptocurrency exchange platform of violating Electronic Funds Transfer Act and Regulation E, the defendant moves to compel arbitration. Because the delegation clause and the broader arbitration provision are unconscionable for the same reasons, the motion is denied, right? And so in that case where this guy claimed that his coins were stolen by a scammer, his cause of action against Coinbase was an alleged violation of the Electronic Funds Transfer Act and Regulation E. And so Coinbase tried to kick it out into arbitration, citing their arbitration provision in their terms of service, and the judge denied it. And so this case is going to move forward, this particular one. And then, like I said earlier, it opened the door for these plaintiffs' attorneys to have a cause of action against Coinbase for unconscionable arbitration provisions and unenforceable arbitration provisions. Now, how it's going to play out, I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on who the judge is and whether or not the judge is going to allow that particular case to move forward. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. We're going to keep you updated on this as it ends up playing out. And if you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. We'd appreciate that. With that said, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.